Hi everyone. Thanks for joining us. Welcome to our session about data sovereignty and AI. If you have any questions, please drop it in the comments and we'll be sure to get back to you.
Okay, let's begin. Recently, as we know, Gartner released their 2025 Major Quadrant for Metadata Management report and recognizing Alex as a visionary and our strengths in automated data lineage. So now what does it mean? Let's first understand the market reality. After 5 years, Gartner has relaunched this Major Quadrant with the verdict that organizations must improve metadata management maturity or risk AI failure. As you can see, there is an efficiency gap in the market right now. Organizations using active metadata will reduce time to delivery by up to 70%. Yet not every platform in the market does data lineage justice and are ready to govern AI agents. So what is the bottom line? When organizations have rich, active, and metadata that is explainable, that is what forms the foundation for reliable AI agents and regulatory compliance. So, in this session, we are very excited to dive into why Gartner recognizes Alex Solutions as the metadata infrastructure for trusted AI and how our automation first lineage strong platform tackles. So, the four layers to AI governance, why policy aware lineage matters, and the connected workflow of data sovereignty and AI. Okay, let's move on. At Alex Solutions, we look at AI governance not as an obstacle, but as an operating model to help organizations to deliver AI innovation with confidence. The reality is that most companies move fast on AI development, but their control mechanism often lag behind. Governance becomes fragmented and accountability gets lost. Our goal is to fix that and bring policy, data models, and infrastructure together in one intelligent and connected framework. And this is exactly where Alex differentiates itself in the market. Alex is automation first, lean, strong, self-empowered, and a combination that Gartner repeatedly highlights in the latest analysis report as our biggest differentiator. Unlike catalog first tools that rely heavily on manual stewardship, Alex embeds automation directly into the metadata layer, which is critical for regulated enterprise environments. We call this our four-layer of AI governance, a model that connects compliance, automation, and assurance from the top down. So let's look at detail. So at the top sits AI governance. This is the definition layer, where every AI model and AI use case is formally assigned to a purpose, a risk tier, and ownership. We link them directly to policies, such as the AI ethics policy. This ensures every model is governed by clear rules with transparent accountability from the very beginning. And the next is AI runtime inspection. This layer provides continuous oversight, tracking fairness and stability. Instead of governance ending at deployment, it becomes ongoing and policies are enforced. It becomes ongoing and policies are enforced automatically through runtime monitors, alerting teams to issue as they happen. Then comes information governance. Here we focus on data, classification, sensitivity, and lineage. We make sure AI models are trained only on trusted, compliant, and auditable data, aligning every dataset with policy and stewardship. And finally, the foundation, infrastructure management. This is where secure computing environments and standard architectures came into play, ensuring that every AI activity takes place in a controlled and compliant setting. This layered model is not theoretical. It mirrors exactly how Gartner evaluates enterprise-grade metadata and AI governance capability. The lineage depth, automation, and hybrid readiness, and of course, explainability.
Right, so when we combine these four layers, that's when the real value starts to show. governance becomes something dynamic, something that actively drives trust and transparency instead of slowing innovation. Now, let's take a look at how that looks in reality. And before we zoom into the model itself, let's take one step back and look at where all of this governance actually starts, which is the marketplace. So this is Alex's central discovery layer. Every AI model, use case, dataset, policy, the entire governed ecosystem, they live here in one unified catalog. In most organizations, AI assets are scattered across tools and teams, like notebooks in one place, datasets in another, policies in shared drives, risk approvals in email threads. So here, everything is governed from the moment it's created. So this automation first approach is why enterprises choose Alex. Everything starts governed rather than becoming governed later. Right here in the marketplace, I can simply search for credit risk. And I can filter by type of asset. Today, I'm looking for an AI model. And immediately pull up the centerpiece of our governed flow, the credit risk scoring model. Now, when I open the model, Alex treats as a first-class governed asset here. I immediately see the essentials, like who owns it, which domain it belongs to, how it was built, what data it uses, and the performance profile behind it. So from this single page, data, risk, and compliance teams all start with the same trusted understanding of the model without searching in 5 different systems maybe. And as I move down here, Alex transitions into the responsible AI layer, the part that explains why this model is trustworthy. Here, everything that defines model reliability is centralized: accuracy, recall, precision, diversity, human evaluation, and the governance rating. And there is even a generative AI prompt template ensuring that anyone using this model stays aligned with regulatory boundaries. So this is not scattered documentation. This is the model's live governance profile. But a model never exists alone, and Alex makes that extremely clear here. Now I can immediately see the entire governance ecosystem wrapped around this model. When I continue with the exploration of these linked assets, those relationships come alive visually. Now, this is powered by our knowledge graph. This same architecture Gartner cites as one of our strongest capabilities. Now, the use case, policies, monitor, data sets, everything is connected around this model. But this level of transparency is exactly what leaderships, auditors, and regulators expect here. And finally, automated lineage ties the full story together. Now here, you can see the entire flow. Data sourced through the data integration, processed and stored in EDW, and consumed in the reporting and analytics layer. And also feeding these global customer data sets and powering our AI models. So this is policy-aware lineage. And lineage is actually where Alex leads the market because Gartner calls it one of our defining strengths: deep, automated, transformation-aware lineage across multi-cloud and hybrid architectures. Any policy change, any data shift, any model drift, it all becomes immediately visible here. And as I'm looking at this lineage, a few visual icons start to draw my attention. So these little badges on each asset. Now the solution uses them to give us an immediate sense of governance health without opening anything. For example, there's a green patch indicates here the data quality readiness. So it tells me the underlying data set meets the required quality thresholds. So the model is being trained and scored on reliable data. And then we have this blue ownership icon, which is great for accountability. So every asset, whether it's a model, it's a term, or a data set, they have a clearly assigned ownership responsible for its life cycle, basically. But the most important signal here is this orange shield on the model. So this tells me the model is currently has a policy violation, meaning it's not compliant with at least one of the rules that govern it. And this is where governance becomes real. Everything looks connected and well defined, but a single violation can still put the entire operation at risk.
So the next question becomes, which policy is being violated and what does that mean for the model?
Exactly. Now let me deep dive into this model again. Now, here, this is where Alex consolidates all risk and compliance information. Here, the model's sovereignty posture is clearly shown. Mixed origin, not compliant, meaning the model uses data originating outside the EU and therefore triggers strict residency controls. We also see the related regulations here, and crucially, solution pinpoints the exact controls missing. So these are not generic warnings, they are the precise controls defined in the EU resident data rule, which is automatically enforced on this model.
So great. Now we are no longer guessing. So we know exactly what the model is violating and what control is missing and what the regulatory impacts is, which is great.
Yes, instead of manually investigating upstream or searching through documentation, we can simply ask Alex to explain the issue and guide us through the next steps. So this is governance moving from reactive to proactive. Now the key to making this happen is the Alex Copilot. So this automation allows us to query our metadata and get real-time answers to governance questions in plain English. No more static spreadsheets, no manual searches. The Copilot turns governance into a living, interactive workflow. Now, I want to identify which upstream datasets or processing locations are causing this sovereignty violation on the credit risk scoring models. Now, the system shows that the sovereignty issue doesn't come from the model itself. It actually originates upstream in the dataset called global customer data. So this dataset contains customer information pulled from multiple regions like APEC, US, and EU, but it's being used inside an EU-only use case. So the moment this mixed origin dataset flows into the model automatically inherits the violation. And Copilot also highlights the policy that's being breached, the EU resident data rule, which requires that EU customers' data must stay within EU storage and processing locations under GDPR, and the EU AI Act. So that rule is broken here because the dataset itself is multi-regional. And finally, it gives us the concrete remediation steps. So rather than guessing, Copilot shows us where the violation started, how it propagated, and what exactly we need to do next. So this is a difference between catalog-first tools and an enterprise metadata fabric. So Alex does not just document your environment, it controls it, enriches it, and explains it end-to-end.
So when we look at the full journey we walk it through, it becomes clear how Alex brings data, sovereignty, and responsible AI into one connected workflow. We saw how Lineage exposes the truth, how automation removes the manual guesswork, and how the fabric explains precisely where a sovereignty rule is broken and how to fix it. So everything is transparent, So from upstream lineage to the downstream impact, and that's the kind of intelligence modern enterprises needs as an AI accelerates and regulatory pressure increases. Thank you.